Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick from Guild of Imagination. Each week, I meet with one of our guild masters to introduce you to the fantastic people who make our program such a supportive and creative space for kids. Today, I am meeting with B. Golden to chat about what they love about working with kids in our D&D and VR sessions. Hey, B, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for joining us. I think this is going to be great for parents and caregivers to learn about who runs our classes
Yeah,
and
of course.
clubs. So just to kind of start things off, can you tell us a little bit about you and your background and what brought you here to Guild of Imagination?
Yeah, of course. So I've been a dungeon master for probably going on 10 years now, I think. And it was kind of wild how it just happened. I was scrolling through Indeed one day and I saw looking for dungeon masters, and I was like, there's no way that that's real. And then turns out it was. And I got a message from Pat, you, and it just soared after that. All of my friends are jealous. They're like, "There's no way that's what you get paid to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's my job. It's the dream."
It's like it's really is like a really cool like when you tell somebody about it, I either get like, wow, that is so awesome, I wish I could do that, or like, what do you do, what does
What
that
is,
mean?
yeah, what is that? If I think somebody knows what D&D is, then I will usually be like, "Oh yeah, I teach D&D." And if I think that somebody has no clue what I would be talking about, I'm usually like, "I teach board games to kids online." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. I'd like to kind of get into a little bit about what we do here at Guild of Imagination, and specifically with D&D with you. We also offer VR stuff, but on your end, you're in the D&D world. And so, what's something that you love about working with kids in our D&D program?
I think so far my favorite thing, as crazy as it is, has been character creation. Uh, to Some of my classes are just single kids, and some of them have multiple where like kids come in later. But to go through the whether it's D&D Beyond or however we decide to do it, and especially for kids who've never played before, like being like, okay, what do you think you want to be? What do you want to do? And then it's like, do you want to be a fighter? Do you want to like fisticuffs? Do you want to do arrows? Do you want to be sneaky? Like, what do you want? And usually it's pretty immediate where they're like, I want to be an archer, or like, I want to fight people.
Yeah. It is like
And
right away, right? Like they
it's
like
it's
they
very
they have an
quickly.
idea already. Yeah.
And then to kind of just go from there to like read off like, okay, here are your options, and they're like, I want that. And I'm like, okay, and I see very quickly how this build is going to go, and I'm like, okay, like I love the enthusiasm, I'm so here for it. And then once we get there, they're like, I have no idea how to use this character. And I'm like, that's fine. We're going to figure it out together.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that is something that isn't talked about that much in like the educational side of what we do, right? Like the creativity of building characters,
Yeah.
and like coming up with like, oh, I love when kids kind of come into a class and they're like, I am this bounty hunter, and I know they're talking about like maybe like Mandalorian or something like that, and they have this
Right?
idea, but they've like created this whole thing in their mind about like where this character came from and
Yeah.
and where they want to go. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'll get kids and I'm just like, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you're trying to be right now, but I'm here for it. And then it also, is in its own way, it also kind of helps if I know who they're trying to be, because then I can make suggestions and they don't know that I know, but like
Mm.
it can help. So like I had a little girl who wanted to be Athena, or not Athena, Annabeth from the Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and
Mhm.
she's basically just a fighter. And they were like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I was like, you know what would be really cool? Maybe you should have a shield. And she was like, yeah, I should totally have a shield. And I was
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
I see
Yeah,
you.
very good. Great. Thank you. So kind of like moving from that, we do, I think that there's a lot of things that are talked about as far as like what D&D brings to not only kids, adults too, but something, different skills that kids can get from playing this game. And I know that I've seen it over the years, but I'm curious, do you have any examples of, skills that, kids develop in your sessions, or have you heard any stories or seen any way that the game benefits them, outside of the sessions?
Yeah, actually, one of my first ever learners that I had him during the summertime, and he had to pull out because he was going back to school, and so he couldn't make our time slot anymore, and he had extracurriculars and stuff like that. And his mom messaged me and also just talked to me like at the end of one of the sessions where he had been playing with me for, I don't know, probably 2 months maybe. And she said that she was so excited for him to go to school because they have a D&D club there. And he had no idea like what he was going to do or how to play or anything about that. And he was really nervous about it. And she was like, his confidence and like his ability to know that he's going to be able to go in there and like have an idea and make friends and talk to people and like be able to engage in that instead of just like showing up and being like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it was really cool to see like that him going through these sessions with me each week like gave him that confidence. And it was really cool too that she said something to me about it, right? Because I would never know after that,
Yeah.
right? Like once he's gone, he's gone. And I would have no idea. And so it was cool that she was like, we're really excited to see him go and like to see what happens uh, because of all the stuff that he's learned here. And there was another learner in that class. So he also like engaged with that other learner and got some social skill stuff in there as well. So it was really cool.
Yeah, the confidence thing is that is such a big piece. It's really awesome to hear that. I've had a few parents over the years, tell me kind of like different things that the game's helped them with, but confidence is a huge one. And there's a lot of buzzwords around, D&D for education, like creativity and problem solving and teamwork. But I don't think confidence is actually talked about that often, right? Like it's something um, that is so important, especially like going into the world, right? Like going into school or in-person school or going, leaving school and going into the workforce, being able to like interact with other people and learn kind of like, how people react to the things that you say and
Yeah.
and that you have, value that you can bring when you do talk and other people listen to you, right? That kind of builds all of that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think another huge portion of it that again doesn't super get talked about is that mistakes are okay and that like you can course correct, because we talk about how like nat 20s are so cool and you can do a lot of really cool stuff. And like nat ones mean that it's like a critical fail, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. And so when you have like actions or situations in D&D that fail, and then they have to like go talk to the other people in their party and be like, hey, I kind of goofed. I made this mistake. Like I was trying to persuade this noble and it didn't work. So now they think we're going to take all of us to jail. And it's not obviously not quite like that when you get out in the world, but to be able to be like, I nat one on this social situation in my real life, and to be able to be like, I know how to take responsibility for this action. I know how to do this. I know how to do whatever. So I think that's
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Like, the fantasy situations aren't going to happen in real life, but
right.
being able to like have that real world, situation where you're bringing it to your team members, right? Like you used to say, like,
Mhm.
I didn't, that didn't work out, and trying to figure out like how to move forward past that. That is a real thing
Yeah.
that happens. So, it can be applied. Very cool. All right. Last question here, and then we'll be done. But I do want to ask. One of the main things with Guild of Imagination is that we're providing safe, inclusive spaces for kids
Yeah.
from all walks of life. And so I'm kind of curious, how do you do that in your clubs? And
Yeah.
why do you think it's important?
I think in the inclusivity section, it's important, especially because this is such a diverse space. And part of the creativity aspect of it, right, is if you want to go into this game and be a different species, a different gender, like go for it, do whatever you want to do. And I think that having sort of this like not no limits, but almost no limits on like being whatever you want to be is also cathartic for maybe somebody who doesn't exactly know what they want to do or what they want to be or who they want to be. And right?
In any part of life, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it could be anything, right? And kids are dealing with that more than anybody else. Is like they have all this pressure of I need to be this, or my friends want me to do that, or I'm supposed to do this when I get older. There's all kinds of things that's
Right.
coming at them from all different aspects of life. And so yeah, that's
Yeah.
super
And
important.
as far as like way that I implement it specifically is pronouns are a huge one for us. When I send out the messages to the classroom, it's always be and like in parentheses, she, her.
Mhm.
Um, when they log into Foundry to like my virtual tabletop that I use, there's a pop-up that comes up and it has you pick your character, it has you pick whatever favorite color you want, and it has you put your pronouns in there so that it's next to your name and everyone can see them. Um, that is a way for me to do it without just being like, hey, what are your pronouns?
Yeah.
Or for people who are like, I don't know what I'm super comfortable with sharing, that lets me go first and say,
Mhm.
this is a place where you can do that without outright saying it. Um,
Yeah, I really love that because I do that with Zoom, right? So I have my pronouns in Zoom. I don't ever outright ask, out loud. And there's actually a couple reasons for this um, online with the way that we do this online, right? And the reason I don't ask out loud is because it's not always a safe space at home for the
right.
child.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and so being able to like show them that I'm putting my pronouns next to my name, or you're putting your pronouns
Yeah.
next to the name, or they can put their or their characters or whatever in Foundry is a really great way to encourage that and show that this everybody's welcome here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a really, and it also on like the pronouns aspect, if you, not you, but like if a person is experimenting kind of with what pronouns they want to hear, if they put their character's pronouns as she, her, or whatever, and that's what they're hearing when I'm, because I typically when we are in game, I am talking to you as your character,
Right.
and I will speak to you as whatever gender you have put forth your character as. And so for some people, maybe that's the first time that they've been called the gender they always thought they were. And sometimes it just hits different. And then maybe that's how they figure it out. And
Yeah.
that might not be something we ever know or something that's ever told to us, but what we're here for.
Yeah. And it means something to the
Yeah.
child. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, B. That was fantastic, and thanks
Yeah,
for
of course.
joining us. I'm excited to kind of get this out for our parents to see and meet you and meet the other guild masters over time. So I really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
and for everybody that's watching, go check us out at guildofimagination.com and see what we're all about. And we'd love to see your kid in one of our games soon. So,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.